Hi everyone, and welcome to Paper Pumpkin Week here on Creative Chelsey. This week I'll be sharing some great card ideas you can make with the supplies from the April 2025 Paper Pumpkin Kit called Inked Occasions. The cards in this kit are beautiful with blended alcohol ink and gold foil accents. They are perfect for any occasion. And I am starting this week with 2 easy alternative card ideas made from one card base. These alternatives use only the products in the kit. The rest of my alternatives I'll be sharing this week will use the Hugs a Bloom coordinating add-on dies to give us some fun focal points. Each month I take the contents from the Paper Pumpkin kits and make alternative projects. My cards are easy to follow and can be made by both experienced or new paper crafters. You may need just a couple other products to complete them. You can follow along with me using supplies you already own or purchase any products you see me use from my online store. The link to all products is below in the description or on my blog, creativechelsey.com. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel using that link in the bottom right corner so you can get updates when I post a new video. Before we begin, I'd also like to mention the amazing perks you can receive when you subscribe to Paper Pumpkin with me as your demonstrator. With every Paper Pumpkin stamp set and ink spot sent, I design a card and mail out my very own card kit to my subscribers so that they can make 2 of my exclusive card design. These cards are so fun and show new ways to use stamps and ink. We also meet once each month to make the card together, chat, and have fun. If you would also like to receive this extra perk, sign up for Paper Pumpkin using the link below and make sure to select me as your demonstrator. We're going to begin with this lighter card base from the kit. We're going to cut it down into 2 sections and then trim each section down to fit our card base. So let's begin at 4 1/4. For this one, we're going to just cut 1/8 of an inch off. I like to cut it off the blue side because there's not as much of that purple side. And then rotate, and you're going to cut another 1/8 of an inch. So this is now 5 3/8 wide or tall. We'll do it like this: 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. On this piece that has the gold foil edging, we're going to remove a 1/16 of an inch from all sides, so that way that gold foil edging stays in the center. So let's just begin by cutting 1/16 off all sides. And so I'm looking here on the left side. You could trim it off on the right, but it gets a little tricky right there. So again, our final measurement after we remove 1/16 from all sides is 4 1/8 and 5 3/8. And that will give us a nice small border of white card base around both of our cards. Let's go ahead and begin making our first card. I've got a card base of thick basic white cardstock, and I'm going to add the piece without the gold foil in the center, just with some of my favorite adhesive, which is the liquid multi-purpose. I'm going to place the purple on the left side close to that fold line. And then take my bone folder and smooth out that liquid glue. You can see that there's a nice even border that's about a 1/16 of an inch wide all the way around. Put that off to the side. I'm going to use the 2 coordinating colors. I have Fresh Freesia and Pool Party cardstock. My Fresh Freesia cardstock is cut to 3 inch by 3 inch square. And I'm going to take my Berry Burst Stampin' Spot that came in the kit and a blending brush, and I'm going to add a little bit of ink to the top and bottom of this piece of cardstock. And I don't want too much ink. I just want it to kind of just barely add a little darker color there. My pool party piece is cut a 1/2 inch smaller on one side and then a 1/2 inch larger on the other. And I'm going to take pool party cardstock and my ink and a blending brush, and I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of ink to the left and right sides. Just like that. Once we've done that blending, I'm going to stamp the butterfly images that came in the kit into the corners. I have the double and the single. Maybe 3 out of 4 corners, and then you can put a single kind of in the middle. Hopefully it will peek out behind our die cut leaves. And then I'm also going to splatter this with pool party ink, just giving it more of that distressed look. And there is a close-up of what that pool party piece will look like. I'm going to add both of these pieces to the center. Just going to distress the edges a little bit, the top and bottom edges where I added that blending on my fresh freesia. Put a little liquid glue and then place it about 1 inch or so down the card. I like to place it just a little higher than center. Try to get it right in the middle horizontally. And then add the pool party piece on top of that. And if they're not totally straight, that's okay. This design can be a little bit haphazard or crooked. You can place them at an angle. So it's going to look something like this. And then I'm going to take some die cuts from the kit. I'm going to use this long, tall leaf here on the left side. So this is kind of like a plant with branches of leaves. Just going to separate it here. I'm going to keep everything else attached, and I'm just going to take it right off near the bottom here. And then there's a couple spots that it needs to be separated, as it is still touching these little leaves down here. So just take your paper snips and carefully remove them. And you'll get a piece that looks like this. And then I also have the Thinking of You die cut label, and I'm going to stamp that greeting in the Berry Burst from the kit, right in the center. Then take your dimensionals and go ahead and add 1 or 2 to the leaves. I think I'm just going to place 1 right there at the top. The bottom down here will get stuck with their Thinking of You, so we don't need to worry about that. On my Thinking of You, I'm going to add some tear and tape, and this will help me adhere my ribbon. So just go right across that entire label. And once you remove the paper backing, go ahead and take some white baker's twine, wrap it around your hand 2 or 3 times, and then cut it. It doesn't need to be an exact amount, but let's go ahead and measure how much I have. So 13 to 6. So it's about 19 or 20 inches of baker's twine. Go ahead and separate it so that you get a thinner twine, and it also gives this really fun texture to the twine. You can separate it, you know, into however many strands you want. I'm just going to separate it into 2, and you'll see what I mean when I talk about that it gives us this fun look. So just be careful as you try to pull them apart so that it doesn't get into a knot. So you'll see when you separate it that it kind of kinks up on itself and has this great texture. So we're going to go ahead and take that and wrap it around your hand again, and then you can add it to the tear and tape. And you can adjust just so that it makes the kind of a look that you're going for. Just double check. I think that's great. And then we can go ahead and add this. Oh, you know what? We should add some dimensionals to this one. I'm going to make sure I place some over the twine just to keep that in place. And because I also have the adhesive right in the middle, I'm going to place a couple extra there to keep it from touching the cardstock underneath. And then we can add this to our card. Start with your leaf, and it's just going to go on the right side. You can adjust it so that you can see your butterflies just a little bit better. So it doesn't need to be exactly where mine is. And then you're going to add your thinking of you afterwards. So there's the leaf. And then here's my thinking of you, and it just goes right in that bottom left area. And it's going to look something like this. Now, if you have some other embellishments you would like to add, you're definitely welcome to. But for now, I think this card is all done. Let's go ahead and move to card number 2. We'll begin card number 2 exactly the same way with the card base of thick basic white cardstock, and then add our card base that we cut down on top. I also have the Fresh Freesia purple area near the top. This is going to be a horizontal card. So it's going to look like that. A little bit of a border, just like before. I'm going to incorporate a couple pieces of cardstock. I've got Fresh Freesia and Berry Burst, which is the same color as our ink. And I have pieces that are 1.5 inches by 4 3/4 inches, I think. Yes, 4 3/4 inches. I'm going to go ahead and tear them. Just one side of each is fine. Okay, so the fun thing about tearing your cardstock is you're going to get a different look every single time. Now this is feeling a little bit big for what I want it to be. So I'm going to go ahead and trim off just a little bit, maybe 1/4 inch, so that my final size is under 1 inch. But you can kind of eyeball that or keep it big if you want. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here, just because this is the smaller piece. This one I want to be maybe under 3/4 inch, so that doesn't show from underneath the Fresh Freesia. So I always like to start with bigger pieces and then I can trim off more. I'm also using some gold foil here, and I have a piece that's 1/2 inch by the 4 3/4. I'm going to tuck that underneath my Fresh Freesia, right along that straight edge, and I just want like 1/16 inch to show. So not too much. We want it to be a similar thickness to the die cut leaves that we're going to add. And then make sure to smooth out that liquid glue. This would also be a good place to use tear and tape. And then we're going to put the Berry Burst piece on top of that. And we want maybe about 1/4 inch of that to show. And that doesn't have to be exact. Just make sure the ends meet on each side. So you have a little less of that showing. So now we're going to take the gold leaf die cut that's in the kit. We're going to separate this into 2 pieces, and we're going to add them to our card. So we have on the left, I have one that's a little bit bigger, and then the one on the right is a little smaller. With the one on the left, I'm just going to go ahead and tuck that under here. So that goes underneath the gold. And because I used liquid glue, I might still be able to. I'm going to actually cut this so it's much smaller. So this is what the end that I'm going to tuck it under looks like. And I want it to just barely be inside that. So let's just go ahead and tuck it. If it doesn't go all the way underneath, that's okay. So something like that. So you can see here on the end that it's just really close to that edge, not too far into the middle. And then this one, we're also going to trim down so it's smaller. And we're going to place it next to it, but it's going to go underneath our congratulations. So we want to make sure that it doesn't show. So this might still be a little big. And then we can take a little bit of glue here and pop that on. I don't think I need glue for that one because I kind of tucked it in already with some glue. And that one can kind of go down a little bit. Okay, so that's what those two are going to look like. Let's go ahead and add this to the center of our card base. I'm going to use liquid glue here. If you wanted to use dimensionals, you definitely can. And then just make sure that it goes straight across. If you need to use a ruler, you can do that. Going from the top down. Oh, that's backwards. So top down, it's the gold. The top of the gold is sitting at about 1 7/8 inches there. Let's see what it looks like over here. 1 7/8. Go ahead and open that up. Smooth out all the glue from the inside so you don't accidentally catch any of that paper with your bone folder. The last thing we need to do is stamp our greeting, and I'm going to use congratulations. You could add a second greeting here if you wanted to, if this is for a wedding or maybe a graduation, or just someone is awesome. You could go ahead and stick a second greeting on this card if you'd like. I thought just keeping it nice and simple with a congratulations is perfect. I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals and place that. Make sure that we cover up that gold piece that's holding that second one on, and your card is all done. Well, I hope you enjoyed watching me create these two easy cards using the products from the April 2025 Paper Pumpkin Kit. If you're interested in getting your own monthly subscription to Paper Pumpkin, please use the link in the description box below or visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. If you would like to see written instructions or close-up images on how to create these cards, you can visit my blog, creativechelsey.com. Thanks so much for watching. Have a creative day. Bye.